Allahu Akbar. Hayya ala salah. Allahu Akbar.
I rise giving all praise to Allah and the highest honors to His Prophet, Prophet Noble Dwelling. I also like to extend honors to the office of the Grand Governor, the office of Chairman, and all of the Sheikh staff. I also like to extend honors to the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America and the visitors of the Moorish Science Temple of America and the Moorish Science Temple of America itself. Islam. So today I'm going to go over just a few details about our movement, because I think that a lot of times we forget what our movement is for, and we get pretty lofty, pretty deep, and we can go way into the metaphysical stuff and history and things like that, but we have to bring it back to our basics of what our mission is to the sons of men here. Start trying to consolidate everything. And I'm going to start from our Moorish literature. If you have one, you can follow along. And I'm actually going to read from the Prophet. I'm going to read from two different articles. The first article that I'm going to read from is Prophet Makes a Plea to the Nation. Now, before I read this, I'm going to ask, I know our brother Charleston here is familiar with our movement, with the Prophet, but are you familiar with the movement and with the Prophet as well? Praise Allah. And what about yourself? You're not familiar? Okay, so our Prophet, when we speak of our Prophet, we all, of course, as Moorish Americans, we honor all true and divine prophets. So whether it's Buddha, Confucius, Muhammad, but our Prophet here is Prophet Noble Dwelling, who was sent to the Asiatics, or so-called black people here in America, to redeem us from our sinful ways. And our sinful ways were, and still are today, everything opposed to these principles. So instead of love, we know hate. Instead of truth, we know how to lie and how to be deceitful. And all of these other principles are peace. We know how to cause chaos and stir things up. Freedom, we've known bondage. We know how to bind ourselves with our negative behaviors. And justice, we know we don't always honor justice, or we don't always take into consideration that the things that we may be doing are not just. And so we may be receiving those consequences for our behaviors. So our Prophet Noble Dwelling, I think we have maybe a picture of him here. I don't know if you can see that. Or this one down there on top of the 3 steps. That's our Prophet Noble Dwelling, who was sent to redeem us from our sinful ways and all of the lower principles. So this is our Prophet Noble Dwelling speaking to our nation. It says, Prophet makes a plea to the nation. Our divine and national movement, which is the Moorish Science Temple of America, our divine and national movement stands for the specific grand principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, which our chairman demonstrated before. And I, the Prophet, am applying to all loyal, faithful Moors, members, and American citizens to help in my great uplifting acts of uplifting fallen humanity among the Asiatic race and nation. For I have suffered much and severely in the past through misunderstanding of what this movement was dedicated to. So there are key points in here. The first being, of course, those principles, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, that we have to remember. And then also, our Prophet is saying that he's applying to all loyal, faithful Moors and members that degree of faithful. We hear that degree of faithful in our divine constitution and bylaws. And what do you have to do to be a faithful member of the Moorish Science Temple of America?
Attend their meetings and keep up with all the necessities and be a part of living fallen humanity.
Islam. So paying those dues, keeping in line with all necessities, attending your meetings, and being prompt and being active as a Moorish American, being active as a Moor. Because especially, I can say, I know we need the sisters and we need the brothers, but the brothers are here to protect this movement, to protect these sisters.
That's right.
These sisters are here to teach the children. So we have to protect that. I know my brother Charleston, we have a baby, so we have to make sure that baby, we have baby here, And we have to make sure these young girls especially grow up in a society seeing their mothers protected and cared for, seeing themselves in an image that portrays the highest degrees of civilization, as opposed to everything else that they may face outside in the world. So we have to protect this institution, you know, and it's not going to happen with two brothers. It has to happen with a collection of brothers, a whole force of brothers. Islam. So our prophet says, I'm applying to all loyal, faithful Moors and members, and the American citizens, not just the Moorish American citizens, all American citizens. And it's funny because a lot of times, and I'll give the example of myself and the brother Raphael recently speaking to a European from Poland. I think he said he was from Poland. And we were telling him that we were Moorish American, or we are Moorish American. We are Moors, or the descendants of the Moors. And he's like, well, he explained to us, he said, well, why don't other people know that? You know, and so for them it clicks. It's easy. He said he didn't know where the Moors went. He didn't know where they went. And our brother Raphael began to break it down and explain how we were stripped of our nationality, stripped of our heritage, and relabeled as black, Negro, color. Today we changed that into African American and things like that. So people are ready to hear it. People are ready to know, and all American citizens can help with this. Even outside of American citizens. You know, foreign nationals can help with this as well. But this is a great work. And our prophet says, I'll read that again. And I, the prophet, am applying to all loyal, faithful members, Moors and members, and American citizens to help me in my great uplifting acts of uplifting fallen humanity among the Asiatic race and nation. And the Asiatic, for those that don't know, are people with woolly to wavy hair, olive toned skin. For I have suffered much severely in the past through misunderstanding of what this movement was dedicated to. And that's something that a lot of times we have a challenge with, being, I won't say being confused with other Asiatic groups, but being lumped into being radical and agitating with other Asiatic groups just because we promote our own heritage. So our prophet gives us that degree to not be radical and agitating against any organized group or any member of any organized group, or make any assertion against the American flag, because we are part and parcel of this government as well, the United States government as well. It is the great God Allah alone that guides the destiny of this divine and national movement. I know all true American citizens are identified by national descent names, that's important, national descent names, and to answer and to apply to the free national constitution of this free national republic of the United States of America. That is why I am calling on all true national citizens to help me morally and financially in my great work. That's why I'm calling on all true national citizens to help me morally and financially in my great work I am doing to help this national government. For without a free national name, without a descent flag, this is our descent flag, without a descent flag of your forefathers, there is not a national divine title of the government in which we live. So our prophet Noble Drew Ali is basically saying that he's calling on all true American citizens, all members, all Moorish Americans to help him in his great work. And why is this a national problem? If this doesn't, you know, Allah forbid, if this doesn't work out, why would that be a national problem? What issue would that cause for America? What issue's taking place right now? What's the condition of the quote-unquote Negro, black, colored person in America? Do we contribute to society as a whole? I think we do contribute to society, but what do we contribute to society? Is it anything positive, or is it all of the lower attributes? All of the attributes of the lower self. So this movement was founded for us to uplift ourselves so that we can become the people that we were and contribute those greater things to society again. So this would actually help the American government. So all true American citizens should understand that a people that don't know their history or don't know their principles, these 5 highest principles, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, which our flag represents, will destroy. As we're doing, as you see, our communities, we don't take care of our communities. We look at the amount of our children that are in foster care. We're a burden on society as our lower selves. But once we raise ourselves up, we are an asset to society, and we raise society up. And the last sentence in this article, this is from your true and divine prophet unto all American and foreign sympathizers, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, The Moorish Guide, February 15th, 1929.
Islam.
Islam. And then I'm going to also read another article out of this section. The next article over, if you have your Moorish literature, is The Voice of the Prophet. And it reads, if you have race pride and love your race, join the Moorish Science Temple of America and become a part of this divine movement. Then you will have power to redeem your race. So I'm going to read that section again. That's not the whole sentence, but I'm going to read that section again. If you have race pride and love your race, join the Moorish Science Temple of America and become a part of this divine movement. Then you will have power to redeem your race, because you will know who you are and your forefathers were. So there are a lot of different groups on social media speaking about what we should call ourselves and what things should govern us when we interact with each other. And we need unity, and we need all of these different things, and everybody's recreating this will that's already been created, that's already in motion. We're trying to recreate these things because we don't know who we are. If we want to, or I'll go into our Circle 7. I'm not going to read from it, but the first thing that our prophet tells us is what?
Know thyself and thy Father God Allah.
Know thyself and thy Father God Allah. So without knowing yourself and your Father God Allah, you don't know who you are. You don't know where you come from. So you don't know where you're going. So the first thing that our prophet did to teach us, or the first thing that our prophet did to uplift us or to redeem us, was what? He taught us to what? To be ourselves. Right. Islam. So we have to know who we are in order to be ourselves. If I don't know who I am, I can get like spiritual hunches. I could go off of what my spirit tells me, and that's kind of what I was doing before I came into the movement. Was okay, this resonates with my spirit, but there was no set of principles, no set of teachings that resonated with me the way the Moorish Science Temple of America did, until I came into here, and it's like, okay, this is right. You know, I had to test it out, but it was complete. It's whole, it's pure, it's complete. So this is something that will teach us who we are, remind us who we are, because we know. It says that masterminds trace themselves back, and thus they know. So we're masterminds. So this movement, this small book, is a guide for us to trace ourselves back. So as we're going into other texts, into all types of, my sister right here, do you mind me asking where you're from?
Bangladesh.
From Bangladesh. So you're familiar with the Bhagavad Gita and different Vedas and Vedic texts?
No.
Not really? Okay. But, okay, and that's your heritage. So as you're going back through your heritage, this is for the Asiatic nations. You know, so you can use this as a guide. And our understanding of Islam, more specifically, is is peace. You know, so as long as you're going through these different teachings and you hold on to that concept of peace and these principles here, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, you can go into any degree, any study, you can study up under any of these prophets, you know, or any of the prophets, the great prophets of the past. But we have to understand who we are, and we have to be able to trace ourselves back. And specifically for us here in the Americas, the Asiatics here in America, this is our prophet here. Our prophet came to redeem us. And I'm going to read this sentence one more time. If you have race pride and love your race, join the Moorish Science Temple of America and become a part of this divine movement. Then you will have power, and that's a key word as well. That power is that force directed. You know, we all have that desire. You know, of course, I want my children to grow up in a society of their own. I want my children to grow up better than I did. I want somewhere where I can walk outside and I can feel safe and protected. We all want that, but do we have the power to achieve that? As an individual, do we have the power to achieve that? No. As a collective, that's where our power comes from. And that's what this book and this book and the one that I'm reading from, the Moorish literature, that's what these books teach. They teach those degrees that all of the other nations have. This doesn't set us above all the other nations. Now we can, turn our nose up at everybody else and say we're better than. This puts us on an equal playing field.
That's right.
But we have to come in and we have to hear these lessons. We have to hear these concepts. It has to be drilled in more so for us because we've learned the opposite all of our life.
Islam.
We've learned to hate and to, somebody over there is hating and we're going to hate on them and to go up against each other. So we have to reinstill this, not just every Friday, but every single day. When we wake up, we have to reinstill these principles, these 5 highest principles, into our character. It says, if you have race pride and love your race, join the Moorish Science Temple of America and become a part of this divine movement. Then you will have power to redeem your race because you will know who you are and who your forefathers were. Because where there is unity, there is strength. Together we stand, divided we fall. Come, good people, because I, the prophet, sent to redeem this nation from mental slavery, which you now have, need every one of you who think that your condition can be better. Now that's an important sentence as well. Our prophet is telling us, right now, our condition is mental slavery. Although our chattel slavery ended, in 1865, we still have that mental slavery. We still wake up thinking that we are less than perfect.
Right.
We still wake up thinking that when we go out there, the world is against us. On my journey, as my mindset changed, the responses or people's responses to me changed. So if you wake up and you think that the government is against you, it is because you think that way.
That's right.
But as soon as you understand that we are supposed to be a part and parcel in this government, we are supposed to be active in society, then the government and your experiences with those entities will change. Come, good people, because I, the prophet, sent to redeem this nation from mental slavery, which you now have. Need every one of you who think, that's important too. You have to think that your condition can be better. So when we're sitting here right now, you don't have to say it out loud. What are we thinking about? I know the sisters, I have to clean that up. I forgot to clean that up. I have to cook something when I get home, or I have to do this tomorrow at work. We may have other thoughts while we're sitting here, but understand that we have to learn to direct and guide our thoughts, because everything that you're thinking about, you're becoming. So it's fun to listen to, different types of music and watch different movies, watch different TV shows, but everything that we're watching, everything that we're listening to, that's what we're thinking about at that time. So when we're watching TV shows that don't show our people in the best light, it may be entertaining. We may be able to relate to it. Oh, my mom used to do that. Oh, my sister does that. Oh, that's a black thing. That's what black people do. We can watch these things and be entertained by it, but understand that everything that we're thinking is perpetuating, and we're manifesting that, whether we know it or not. So it says, I need every one of you who think that your condition can be better. This is a field open to strong men and women to uplift the nation and take your place in the affairs of men. It says this is a field open to strong men, not kind of strong, I'm strong on Fridays, but on Mondays I'm kind of weak, and we can strengthen ourselves as we go. We can, but this field here, because people are going to test you. My brother here, did you grow up as a Christian?
No.
You grew up as a Muslim? Moorish American?
My father was Muslim, my mother was Christian.
Okay,
but
so...
they're both very open.
Okay, that's good. Praise Allah. So that's very good. So when you go out, and maybe not necessarily to your family, But let's say you go out into the community and you say, like we did to the Polish guy that we met the other day, you say that I'm a Moor, or I'm somebody different, or I'm not black. You go to the average person that thinks that they're Negro, black, or colored and say that I'm not black, they're going to challenge you. It's going to be a challenge. It's not just going to be, oh, well, I'm not black. Okay, we'll leave them alone. Well, how do you figure you're not black? Why are you not black? We're all black. That's going to be the thing. That's why this is for strong men and women. And that's just the beginning of the test. The real struggle is cultivating yourself and getting rid of your vices, or acknowledging your lower self and seeing what things need to be done to help uplift you so that you can be a better asset to your nation. This is a field open to strong men and women to uplift the nation and take your place in the affairs of men. If Europeans and other nations are helping me, why not you? It is your problem. The Negro problem is being solved only as it can, and that is by the Moorish national and divine movement. If you have a nation, you must have a free national name in order to be recognized by this nation as an American citizen. And that's important because our people were out in the streets and we screamed that we want justice for Trayvon Martin and Sandra Bland and all of these other people who I give high honors to, and I pray that they may rest in peace. But we have to understand that without a national name, we're not recognized as American citizens. And our Grand Sheik and other brothers I hear throughout time always give that example of if there was a stranger in your home, what do you have the right to do to that stranger? Whatever you want to do. They're in your home. So until we're recognized as American citizens, we will suffer all types of abuses and misuses, I believe is the term that our prophet uses, that all of the true and divine citizens, or all of the true citizens, care to bestow upon us. So we have to look into correcting our status, and that's what this Moorish Science Temple of America and this Moorish Divine Movement, this national and divine movement, is doing for us, is repairing our status or correcting our status. It says, this is what was meant when it said, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all of these things will be added unto you. And so that seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all these things will be added unto you. A lot of times we take that and we say, okay, well, I'm not going to pay attention to all of the earthly things. I'm just going to focus on getting into heaven. But we understand as Moorish Americans that heaven is not where? It's not above, it's not below, but where is it? But within. It's within us. So we have to understand that our heaven is being at peace with ourselves, and not just our peace with ourselves individually, but at peace with one another, and creating that heavenly atmosphere here on earth. And so in the Piscean text, which we refer to as the Bible, it speaks about, how, you're supposed to store your treasures in heaven where thieves can't break in and rust doesn't corrupt your treasures. So that's not necessarily in a place in the sky. That's in a place within your society. Because let me ask you all something. Do you think anybody's going to get into that door past this brother Jabari that's holding post right now? Past all of these brothers to get to these sisters? Or anything in here to disrupt these lessons? No. Because this is our heaven temporarily. And so we have to build this as a society, but it takes a collective of people who are not just, coming on occasion, but are faithful people. And I give honors to the faithful. I give honors to the brothers that are here, the brother Yosef, my brother Akil, the brother Jabari, the sister Jasmine, my sister Taifa, brother Raphael, our chairman, our grand governor. I give honors to these faithful because these are the ones that are definitely building this institution for us. These are the ones that are putting in the work so that the baby here doesn't have to grow up seeing certain things. Doesn't have to grow up experiencing certain things. So we have to be active, and that's what our prophet That's what our prophet was saying. Our prophet didn't want us to just come and hear these words. He wanted us to become these words and to live these words. And that's the divine side of this movement, is becoming our higher selves. And that's all from that article, and that's by the prophet in our Moorish Guide, the Moorish Guide newspaper, written on September 28, 1929. Islam. Excuse me, 1928.
Allahu Akbar. Hayya ala salah. Allahu Akbar.